What's up, heathens? How ya doing? I'm the Godless engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you could stand up and use your voice. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Chris Yoon and his failed Trump prophecy. We're going to see how he's reacting to Trump not staying in office and Biden being sworn into office on January 20th. This is a very big issue for Chris because he supposedly has given prophetic word straight from the mouth of God about what is to happen for this election.
And so right now, God has sent many of us, myself included, with dreams, visions, prophetic words, and different things like that, only to reinforce what the Lord is actually doing.
And of course, the prophetic word that he's received now is that Trump will miraculously remain president.
The Lord is allowing this period for a reason, because he's allowing things to be so impossible, so just unthinkable, that the way that the Lord is going to work is that he's going to make it and put it to the brink of just no return, only for him to do a 360 and a miraculous last minute move. And so once January 20th comes around, obviously we will have a sitting president. And at that time, everyone will be humbled in some way. Everybody will be humbled because they took a side or they had such a strong opinion, only to have had such a reversal with that.
Now, while the Bible does have God miraculously turning around events to make sure people know that he is the one that miraculously turned them around, that is not going to happen for Trump, and I really hope that Trump doesn't come back as president at any particular point in the future. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some specific predictions that Chris made, and how he's weaseling himself out of these issues. I have to say, the mental gymnastics that he employs for these ideas should definitely win him a gold medal in the craziest shit Olympics. If you want to know how Chris Yoon turns his failed prophecies into fulfilled prophecies, then please stay tuned. Okay, so
last time on Chris Yoon,
he was predicting a lot of crazy shit. I mean, we listened to this dream that he had where Trump was apparently in a bread van, secretly listening in on conversations that Democrats and other people were having with a servant of Satan or something like that. And apparently that all needed to happen so that Trump could then swoop in and charge them all with treason or fraud or something. All of this is done to keep Trump as president. According to Chris, it had to be this way because just after the election, he kind of counted his chickens before they hatched.
What I want to declare right now is that the Lord is going to actually re-elect President Trump, and he's going to allow him to come to office again for another 4 years.
But right after he had this great proclamation and prophetic word directly from God, this happened.
We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States.
So as you can see, this kind of puts Chris in a bind as far as his prophetic word goes. But he managed to salvage it by jumping on the bandwagon and declaring that the election was a fraud and that Trump has won by a landslide. He also claimed that God was allowing all of this to happen
so the evil could be exposed.
I mean, it is an interesting way to turn a failure into a success, but he and his audience are holding steadfast to this conspiracy theory. The dream that Chris had in the last video apparently revealed this little nugget of shit.
And the one thing I want to say, which is the big kicker, is that Biden will also be arrested. And I believe that he will be arrested as close to the 20th as possible, probably on the 19th or a little before.
Well, you can imagine how that went.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
That obviously refutes Chris's prophetic word. Right? Come on, guys, right?
Right.
Not to Chris and his staunchest supporters. Chris immediately goes into damage control. He says that he never once claimed to be a prophet, only a brother, and that he's totally not a false prophet, guys.
I don't want to give myself a title, which is what I say a lot when I don't want to say, oh, look at this is Prophet Chris. Rather, I say I'm a brother. But really, a false prophet is not one that is wrong in their prophecy. It's a false prophet is one basically that doesn't speak the heart of God. And I want to speak the heart of God. And
then he goes on to claim that in his videos, he did not clearly delineate between prophetic words and his opinion.
And I found that all of the prophetic words have so far come to pass, or they are going to come to pass. But I did notice that I had presumed and confused what was my opinion with what was the prophetic word multiple times, and specifically with regards to dates. And I've said this as an apology before, but that's just my opinion versus what the Lord has spoken to me as his prophetic word, which I've clearly mentioned as well. And so please don't get confused by that of what my opinion is versus that, because my opinion can be wrong, but the prophetic word still stands. And
so basically, all of the specific dates that he gave, like when Biden would be arrested or everybody else was going to be arrested or anything like that, apparently that was his opinion, and so therefore that's why it's wrong, and it's not God's prophetic word. Prior to Biden's inauguration, he proclaimed that there were still 3 prophetic words that have yet to come to pass.
There are 3 prophetic words that are remaining, and that is that Trump will be president again. There's going to be some sort of military intervention, and that there's going to be a swift move of justice. And whether that's over the span of a day or days or weeks, I don't know. And so I want to make clear that those are the 3 things that he's given me. And everything else is, to be honest, my own speculation, as well as me trying to do research. But I've realized that the Lord has just told me, look, I know as much as you want to know, just trust in my word and let it come to pass. And so
now that was on January 19th, the day that Biden was supposed to get arrested, or maybe the next day he was supposed to get arrested. I'm sure Chris will tell us what he was expecting at the inauguration soon. But the bottom line is that at this point, Chris still thinks that all of these people, Biden, Nancy Pelosi, people in the big tech industry and all that kind of shit, they're all still going to be arrested for election fraud or something, or maybe just evil in general. I don't know if that's really all that prosecutable, but in his world, I'm sure it is.
If we're prosecuted for evil, we need to.
All of this culminates with Trump being reinstated to the presidency. So, January 20th came and went, and Biden was sworn into office. And how did Chris react? He was rather disappointed because he was expecting a military coup.
I asked the Lord, Lord, you've given me 3 prophetic words that are going to pass in this hour. You said that there's going to be some kind of military intervention or some kind of military influence, and they're going to do something. Now, I thought that was some kind of a military takeover. I'll explain that in a second. The second prophetic word he gave me was that he's going to allow swift judgment to take place, and he's going to allow that in many industries, big tech, the media, obviously politics, businesses, even churches, so many places. I'll explain that in a second. And then the third, the one he's given me that I still stick to is that Trump will be reelected and he will have a second term in this year, this season of the next 4 years, not 2024, this year. So those are 3 things.
No, Chris. Trump will not be the president for the next 4 years, and hopefully he'll never be president again. In that section, Chris was really kind of gunning for a military takeover of the government, which we'll get to here in a minute, because he kind of finagles reality in a way that gets him what he wants. But all of this was to instill Trump as the quote-unquote true president. As for the inauguration itself, he has some different ideas.
And so I've asked the Lord about that. And I'll actually just quickly clarify that. I asked the Lord about that yesterday. I said, Lord, what was significant about yesterday? It seemed like it was not what I thought it would be, as well as many other people. And the word he gave me to encourage me was, yesterday was significant. I gave that to you. But the day yesterday was, and what he gave me was, it was the day that he allowed the shackles of this nation to be broken, to be unbound, and to be loosened. And so that day, and again, I'm going to give some thoughts here of what may be happening in the physical realm. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying this is what the facts are.
So let me get this straight, Chris. Biden was sworn into the presidency so that we could break the shackles of the nation? What does that even fucking mean? Luckily, he goes on to explain how, these are all just things that I've heard out in the ether, the gossip, the water cooler, or whatever in the fuck they congregate at in these conspiracy theory circles. And he stresses that he doesn't know any of this for a fact. But basically, here's how the military coup happened.
The moment Biden got inaugurated, that was this rubber stamp to allow the military to actually seize control, because there's this thing going around about how America was a corporation for so long after the 18th president, Ulysses S. Grant, and then now we have been freed from that to be now an actual republic. And so, again, this is things that people are saying. I don't claim to know that, but because of that, that gives the military authority to now rule. And so Chris Miller, who's in charge of the military, as well as Pete Gaynor, who's in charge of FEMA, apparently they are now in control of the United States as well as the government, because, and this is what people are saying, that the moment he was inaugurated, that validated and allowed a constitutional or invalid presidential candidate to be elected. And so whatever that means, that's that. I'm just putting it over here. And if that's true, then that would clearly have fulfilled the first prophetic word that I had mentioned.
Oh my God, no. The corporation conspiracy theory about the United States of America is so bullshit. It centers around this District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871. This act established the Washington, D.C. area. It did not set up a corporation, and the military did not take over the government. Chris Miller was the acting Secretary of Defense, but as of last week, Lloyd Austin was confirmed as the new Secretary of Defense. So I don't know how Chris Miller is able to take over the government when, for all that we could tell, Chris Miller just doesn't work there. He said, fuck your F-35s, I'm out of here. Another thing that I don't understand is why FEMA would be in control of the government. I simply don't understand including FEMA. It would be a lot like including, any other random state department that has nothing to do with taking over the government. Now keep in mind that prior to this point, Chris was fervently saying that this is not prophetic word and that this is just all gossip that he's heard, but it all definitely confirms his military action prophecy, and so therefore it's been fulfilled. Despite all of his boilerplate covering of his ass, he still talks authoritatively about this non-event.
So to that, whatever that means, yesterday was significant, and it has allowed the military to now covertly and behind the scenes seize control. I don't know what's going on in terms of the news.
Chris even has an explanation for why Biden was not just immediately arrested on camera at the inauguration event.
My guess, and again, this is a personal guess, is that the military or whoever just can't come in and sweep people up very visibly and publicly. Otherwise, it would be a huge uproar. That wouldn't be the smartest strategy in order to keep the law and order and the peace. And so most of the U.S., or 99% of the U.S., cannot see what's going on. Otherwise, there would be an uprising and an uproar. And so that's a smart strategy if I were to say that. Otherwise, if you just swooped in there and took them, right at the inauguration, that would obviously be not good.
So let's get this straight here. We have gone from Biden will be arrested to Biden will be arrested, although covertly, and nearly nobody will actually know about it. Are you fucking serious with this shit? Chris has even pushed another crazy as hell conspiracy theory in order to support his failed prophecies.
And others are saying, again, this is some, people saying this. I can't say this is what God told me or this is fact, but they are even saying that the inauguration was pre-recorded and it was possibly even CGI'd, or if not that it was just done earlier. And apparently there's evidence like in Spain or other places that it was broadcasted earlier than what it was shown live. I can't speak to that. But these are all things that are happening in the physical world.
Why would they have pre-recorded the inauguration? Why would they need CGI? I totally understand why people are confused by what you're saying, because none of it makes any kind of fucking sense. It's probably because you try to do that boilerplate covering your ass thing at the beginning, saying, oh, I don't know if this is fact or not, but then at the end you speak authoritatively about it as a fact. It kind of seems like you'll believe any kind of crazy idea out there that seems to support your failed prophecies. Chris ends his video by stating what I can only assume is a fact to him, that the military has taken over the government and will reinstate Donald Trump at some point. And thus, this has fulfilled his military action prophecy.
Because I've clearly stated yesterday was a big day. It's passed. And that first prophetic word I gave came to pass. It was a significant day. And now what you're going to see, because the military has been now established as being in power, that is going to begin a process of establishing Trump as the president. So if anything, it is a cascading effect that has actually allowed the inauguration or the proper establishment of Trump being the president again. So we may not see it visibly, but it is a process. So if anything, that prophetic word has come to pass or is beginning to come to pass, meaning that Trump will be in his second term. But all that, again, to say that it will take some time.
So even though he claims to not know whether or not any of this actually happened, he still rubber stamps his prophecy as being fulfilled. I can only imagine that he definitely thinks the military has taken over the government and will reinstate Trump, thus fulfilling his other prophecy. And then they will also arrest, I don't know, something to do with Biden and everybody that was against Trump in the government, along with big tech, big pharma. Just everybody's going to get arrested and, I don't know, probably shot into space or something. Literally nothing will prove to this motherfucker that he is wrong. I mean, you might as well slam your head against a brick wall because that's a lot more productive. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting official word right now. The lawyers want me to tell you, do not smash your face against a brick wall. We don't care how productive you might think it might be and how productive I said it was. Don't do it. Well, that's it for Chris Yoon. He's crazy as shit, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I'm really wanting to find out at what point will he give up on this whole Trump presidency thing for the next 4 years. I want to see what his line is, so we'll probably check back in here in like a month or two, because it seems like his whole plan for arresting everybody and Trump becoming president is some weeks, if not months out. I like how God's all powerful, but he's not powerful enough to just snap his fingers and put Trump in power. Anyways, if you heathens like this video, please go down below and let me know in the comments. And hey, while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of crazy shit. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.